Twisted Travelers Podcast, your weekly dose of theme park news and entertainment. And now, here to talk all things coasters, theme parks, and even more, here are your hosts, Jack Lathrop and Chris Jones.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to this week's episode of the Twisted Travelers Podcast. I am Chris, and as usual, I am here with my co-host, Jack. Jack, say hello. How's it going?
Hello, everyone. How's it going tonight?
It is going good. We've got another guest. Excited about this one. Another person is going to convince me to spend more money, just like Matt from Print My Ride did.
Oh my gosh, you have an issue.
I know I do. I have an addiction. That's okay. I'm figuring it out slowly. But very short news, new ride of the week, basically to close out the year. And then we have our guest.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun week. So let's jump right in, and we're going to start off by talking about a ride we talk about all too often, and that is the Wallaby Belgium Intamin Mega Coaster, which we now have a name for, and it is Conda, or I'm assuming that's how it's pronounced.
Conda, I believe so. Sounds like Honda, but honestly, pretty cool name. I like it. Reminds me a lot of Kumba. Reminds me a lot of Condor, which I think are both very good names. I like it a lot.
Yeah, I think it's going to be good. I mean, we've talked about this coaster so much. The theming we've seen start to go up around this thing just looks amazing. The ride plaza looks like it's going to be awesome. And, of course, this ride looks potential top 10 in the world, if not higher. So,
yeah, Belgium. Belgium is skyrocketing up the list, I think.
Belgium is on the top of the list.
Yeah, I was telling Jack before we started recording that I was planning a crazy Europe trip just like for fun. And in a couple years, if I have the money, I think I'm going to have to do this trip if COVID actually chills.
Yeah, so
this is on that list.
We're excited about that.
Very. If you couldn't tell by our repetitive mentioning of it every single week, we're excited for it.
Yeah. So the next thing, I'm gonna be honest, I haven't paid attention to this at all because I really don't care about it at all. But I'll let you talk about it.
Okay, so yeah, this is a weird one, and that is Aquaman is apparently delayed. Aquaman at Six Flags Over Texas, the mock water coaster. What is it? Is it the Power Splash, the shuttle model?
Yes, the Power Splash shuttle, yeah.
Okay, so basically on the website it says it's now opening 2022, which, that's a shame. But then apparently, which I need to look at this myself, which I'm going to do right now, but from what I've heard, is that it says it goes upside down one time. Now, the thing is fully constructed, so I don't know if they'd actually do this and if this is just a typo or something. But, could they expand it to be the model with the loop? I mean, they'd have to take... I know, but I know it's so weird, but people have been speculating. I'm looking at the website now. I'm gonna check, but who knows?
Can I remind you first off what company we're talking about? So spending extra money is laughable. I think they're just trying to twist it because they're trying to count that vertical spike as an inversion or something. I'm saying if it got a loop, okay. I'm not complaining. I just don't see it happening.
I want to read exactly what their website says to you. So it says Aquaman Power Wave. Coming in 2022, Aquaman Power Wave is a launch-style coaster that suspends riders in a 90-degree angle before hurtling them across the more than 700 feet of track at 63 miles an hour. And then in the ride info section, it says thrill level maximum. Minimum height must be 48 inches or taller. Location in park, USA area. Features flash pass. And then special features goes upside down. Also want to say this. It says in the by the numbers section, it says manufacturer is Mach, M-A-C-H rides. So yeah, there's that. But it does say it goes upside down. Now, if they're counting if they are counting, what's his 90-degree angles? So if they're saying 90 degrees is upside down, but I don't think so. I don't know. It's weird. I I don't see them adding a loop, but I really think it must be a typo or something. I just don't
How
get it.
many feet of track did you say it has?
Let me see. It says the more than 700 feet of track.
Okay, so comparing that to RCDB, looking at the other power splashes around the world, they all have a length of 711.9 feet. Yeah, I think it's a typo.
Must be. I mean, that could just be them trying to convey the thrill level of it, but like straight up lying at that point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Weird situation. I don't think it's gonna get expanded to have a loop.
Yes, according to RCDB, it's not going to. So.
Yeah, I mean, obviously this is just speculation that everybody's been going crazy on, but it's just weird. But it's delayed till 2022, which is a shame. And hopefully Jersey Devil doesn't happen the same thing.
Yeah, that would be. It would be a bad move from Six Flags, I think, to delay all of their rides till 2022. But then again, I'm not. I get more into the industry side than most people do, but I'm not as into it as some. So I would love to hear like what Andrew Hyde, and I think he did give his opinion on it. I would love to hear his opinion on everything with that. So
Yeah, I agree. But just weird situation that nobody has really any proof on, and we can't say much about it right now, I guess.
yeah.
Well,
So next
let's
up,
move on.
back to the park that will never stop. Energylandia is building yet another roller coaster, folks. But we've known
No.
about this one for a
Yeah.
while. But I'm gonna be honest, they build so many rides I forgot they were building this one because like they're building another ride, but Abyssus hasn't even opened yet. So
I mean, are you surprised?
yeah, but this is going to be Vekoma Mine Train. It looks it. We saw the didn't we? Is this the ride we saw pictures of like months ago? Like their trains.
I think we did see the trains. I don't remember what they looked like, but
They looked like just your. They almost looked like standard like Arrow mine trains from back in the day, like just basic like mining cart look.
Vekoma Mine Train. So the lift is vertical, and then we saw that there was some more track being put in. I'm just really interested to see if there's any theming that comes with it. If so, then this could be really, really good.
Well, given that I guess really the last three big coasters they've opened, Hyperion, Zadra, and well, two they've opened and one they're building, Abyssus, have all put a much higher focus on their theming. I'm hoping that they're going to do it with this mine train as well.
Yeah, I'd like to see some rock work with it. We'll see. I mean, with their family attractions, they haven't done it yet.
But
So
also,
this
have
would
they
be a
really
nice switch
installed
up.
like a major family attraction? I
No,
mean, they've added family coasters alongside Zadra,
yeah, there
but
have been kiddie coasters, but
those were kind of themed with the
so there
land.
were two. There was Draken, which was the one that was installed along Zadra, and then there was Frida. Now, Frida is right next to Zadra and just sits in a grass field pretty much. It's a small purple Vekoma Junior coaster. Um, there's no theming with it. So they did add that, but I mean, this is obviously going to be bigger than those at least. So hopefully they add a little something.
Yeah, that would be nice. Also, I'm
It
looking
says
at
it's going to have
pictures
three
of
lift hills.
Yeah, I'm looking at pictures of Hyperion right now. I need this ride in my life.
Soon, Jack. We'll go as soon as we can.
It
It
looks
says
so
it's going to be
good.
located in the Sweet Valley section on RCDB.
Does that mean another new section of the park?
Could you imagine if it was themed to like a Candyland section?
It's Energylandia. I'm not putting it past them.
Well, yeah. Anyways, that's happening. More credits. This park keeps expanding. It's ridiculous, and yeah, they're adding another coaster. But I don't think anybody's surprised. So
No.
next up, Jack, pronounce this.
Okay, so we're getting a Krampus or Krampus, depending on how you prefer to pronounce this, water coaster at Nigloland, which I had to do some research on because while I have taken French, it is a little bit rusty. The best way I can describe how to say it is it's igloo, but with an N in front of it. This looks, we're going back to the mock water coasters here. This looks good.
I love the unique theming. That is
Yes.
awesome.
It,
That
the
is such a good theme.
the cart or the carts. I sound like a true European right now. The cars and the boats themselves look fantastic from the concept art we saw. And yeah, like the theme, fantastic.
Yeah, I'm very glad to see something really unique. I mean, theming a ride to Krampus. I don't think anybody would have thought, but that's sick. Like that's really cool. And I'm sure it's going to be great. I'm sure it's going to have good theming and more of a reason to go to this park other than Alpina Blitz, which I think that's the one there, right?
That sounds right. I'm on their RCDB page looking at the Yes, this house I'll clean it, but
Yeah, that's a Mach Mega, which looks really good. But
they
yeah,
got that. What else do they have? They've got a Wild Mouse, which we have a weird thing for liking those.
some of
Got
them.
a mock powered coaster. Of some family coaster from a very small firm I don't think I've ever even heard of.
What is it? Soket?
It's like art. It was
Oh, art.
yeah.
They made I think they technically have the Cannibal. I'm pretty sure they were a part of Cannibal, and then I'm pretty sure they're doing what was to be called Primordial, and they did Wonder Mountain's Guardian, I think.
Wonder Mountain's Guardian is Triotech.
Yes, but I think the actual track was from them. Maybe.
Well, okay.
If you look on
Cannibal,
RCDB, it's credited to them. Let me see. So
Cannibal
on
is
RCDB,
credited to
built
Lagoon.
in-house, built by Art Engineering.
Okay, so
On
that just
Cannibal's
means that
RCDB. They constructed it, I guess, and then
they
you go
fabricated
to-
the track.
Wonder Mountain's Guardian make Art Engineering.
Okay, so I'm
Um,
assuming what that means is they fabricated the track.
Yeah, that's what I think. Primordial. Doesn't say on RCDB, but I'm pretty sure that they're doing that. So yeah, there's that. But yeah, more of a reason to go to France other than Parc Asterix and Disneyland.
Yep. Okay, that was all too much on Krampus, but again, like diving through that rock work, that's gonna be epic.
Oh yeah, I'm excited for it. Like it's gonna have that good theming.
Yep. Okay, and then I added one more thing in because I kind of do want to talk about it because it's
Yes, I
exciting.
did see. Go on.
So if you've paid attention to Twitter and Instagram over the last week or so, you know that not only have I been posting not only have I been posting lightning rod updates, but yesterday I believe it was the Coaster Crew, right? Yes, it was the Coaster Crew posted some new photos of lightning rod because Dollywood and RMC completed the launch track over the over the week and got the topper track removed and the iBox put in all the way to the top of the launch, which means I'm going to have to start going to my alternate viewing area to see more angles of it. Yay. But the key thing that I saw from this is that they removed the trim brakes from the top of the launch area. So, here is why I think this is of importance and why I'm excited about this. So back in, it's been about a month now, we saw crews and stuff start to show up around Lightning Rod. I knew there was going to be cranes on site, so I went and got pictures, and some of the first things we start to see happen where tarps and stuff appear over the LSM fins. The next thing that happened is one of the first things they did was they started ripping track off the launch and putting iBox in. But through that whole process, they never removed an LSM fin from the track, and those stick up from the track at all times. They don't move. So they didn't take those off the track ever. That was where it was. They just made it to the end of the launch track when I was up there last weekend. And they, of course, worked on the rest of it this week. Now, from the end of the launch to the top of the hill, there are a set of trim brakes. I posted a picture of them on my Instagram story that shows them firing to prove their existence. If you don't believe that they exist, I have the evidence to prove they do. So the interesting thing about those trim brakes is those trim brakes are actually, they are retractable trim brakes, so meaning if they don't need to fire, they won't. So they really actually don't take up as much room as the LSMs. So why did they take them off to put the track on?
I don't know.
If you're catching what I'm saying, I'm basically saying there was no point to removing them unless you have no intention of putting them back. So that is my theory, that is my prediction. I'm saying there will not be trim brakes on Lightning Rod. The only thing I could see happening is them getting new trim brakes or reducing the number of them. But again, weird thing to do, because there was no need to take them off if you were just going to leave them.
Yeah, I'm definitely hoping you're right, because
I would love
that
to
thing
be
can
right.
fly.
Because that means Iron Gwazi can have its stupid record for one day and then I can have it back.
I mean, I really don't care about the record. I just want the ride to go fast.
Oh, I want this ride to go faster, like much faster.
Yeah, if it could get back to at least my first ride's speed, that'd be nice.
Or faster. If that,
Don't get your hopes up.
It's definitely gotten faster than that. I'm not going to say the actual number, but it's gone a lot faster than 73 miles an hour. So, Lightning Rod, no trims, could be possible. I was planning on going up to the cabins today to get pictures. The weather was awful, so I'm going to try to go up tomorrow if the weather's better. And I will keep you updated on this most recent development in Lightning Rod, whatever is happening.
Yes, Jack doing God's work out here, giving us our Lightning Rod updates.
I've gotten like 20-something new followers since I started posting updates.
And we got 20-something new followers because we put Taylor Bythe's name in our title.
Thank you, Taylor.
Yeah, shout out Taylor.
We should say, first off, welcome to all of our new listeners. If you stuck around after last week's show.
Thank you for the support.
Because last week was our best show ever. It was also our best week ever.
We weren't surprised at all by that, though. We'll say that.
Mm-hmm. I will say, so Podbean, which is what we use to host host the podcast, can give you a breakdown of like what episode was downloaded each day. And it's not just been Taylor's episodes, which gives me hope that people are going back and listening to old episodes because they found us.
Yeah, we really hope you like them. If you're new, if you didn't, let us know what you didn't like and what we can change. We're open to criticism. Yeah,
we should talk. Do we want to do like an end of year survey or something?
I mean, we can talk about that later. Maybe
we'll talk about that off air. We'll figure out if we're gonna do something.
Right.
Okay, Ride of the Week is back.
Yes, sir.
Let's move on to that before we tangent.
What are we doing this week, Jack?
We are doing mine trains.
Yes.
So we're bringing it back, and we're going to close it out with 4 mine trains this year. This is episode 1 of Mine Trains. We'll have 3 more, and that last episode will be our season finale. And so we're going to spend the next 4 weeks talking about either Thunderation, Adventure Express, Carolina Gold Rusher, or Roadrunner Express.
At Fiesta, Texas. I'm pretty sure there's another one.
There's Kiddie Coaster at Magic Mountain. But,
yes. Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, we're going to spend the next 4 weeks talking about mine trains. We've both ridden all of these rides, It's going to be great. And then we've got some great ideas for next season. So
Yeah. All right, I'm gonna spin the wheel then.
the wheel is spinning. I have missed seeing,
Dun, dun,
spinning, hearing.
dun, 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 dun. And the winner is Roadrunner Express at Six Flags Fiesta, Texas.
The last Aero mine train ever built.
Yeah. All right, who's going first?
I'll let you go first because you've ridden it more recently.
Okay, Roadrunner Express. Let's see. Very good. I think it's my third favorite mine train. So there's the interaction with the quarry, which is pretty cool, right? And then good views of Iron Rattler. There is some legit airtime on this ride. Like it's probably the most intense of the mine trains I've done. Up there with a couple others that we'll talk about later on in the season, but very good ride, has some good intensity, has some good forces. Obviously great location, actual airtime. My only knock on it was the operations, although that was to be expected the way Fiesta Texas was going that day. It had probably a 45-minute wait.
That's about what I had when I was there.
Yeah, it was on one train, that ride and the big ride next to it that I really wanted to ride a lot, but I didn't get to. Had pretty bad ops. But, I'm going to give it another chance someday as far as operations go. But the ride itself, very, very solid. You can definitely see how the mine trains progressed over time and how they got better and better. I mean, like, the way Tennessee Tornado is for aero loopers, this is that for mine trains, for sure. Yeah, it's a great ride. Probably my fifth or sixth favorite in the park. I'm not sure. But yeah, it's very good. I liked it a lot.
Yeah, I have a lot of similar thoughts on it, on Roadrunner Express. You can definitely tell it was the last Aero mine train ever built because it runs a lot like Tornado does. That being said, my nitpick for this ride is it is so un-Aero mine trainish. And I guess that's a stupid thing to say, but I kind of like the rickety shakiness of some of the other mine trains and the sudden jolts and the really out of control feeling. And while this one is a ton of fun, it definitely doesn't feel quite as out of control as some of the other ones we're going to talk about. I think it's my fourth favorite mine train. It's great. It's a ton of fun. A great, like Chris said, great setting with the quarry wall. But for me, it's just lacking that, like, it sounds bad to say, but I kind of wish it was a little rougher and a little more jerky. I don't know. That's the charm for me about mine trains, and we'll hit on that with my two favorite ones are both on. Actually, my three favorite ones are all on this list, besides this one, and yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I can see that complaint, but that's not too big of a thing for me, at least.
Like I said, it's almost one of those stupid things, but again, like when you look at it, it almost is kind of sad too, because this you could see the potential for some like Excalibur type rides with this that would have been insane if Aero had survived longer.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, Roadrunner Express, great ride. I'm definitely hoping to get back to that park next summer. So, or earlier,
yeah,
possibly.
Definitely. Maybe. I hope so.
Yeah. So, next up, though, we've got our guest. Cut. Okay.
Welcome, guest. Okay.
So, this week, we've got Josh from Made to Thrill. Josh, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. So, I think most of our listeners are going to be familiar with your work, but if they aren't, let's just go ahead and give us the rundown on you and your company Made to Thrill.
Well, I do all of my own artwork as the name Made to Thrill. I started about 5 years ago in 2014, 2015. I didn't really start like selling art until 2015, but basically I started making my own theme park and roller coaster inspired artwork because all of the art that I wanted to get in like gift shops didn't really exist, and I wanted to hang stuff in my house that didn't just, you know, obviously say like coaster stats and stuff on it and photos, because my girlfriend didn't really want to see it all the time. So I kind of made my own art out of my own necessities, and then ended up posting some of it to Instagram, and I guess the rest is history. People have just been, you know, wanting to buy the stuff I make, and it's just become a sustainable hobby, as I've been calling it. I don't really call it like a business or or a company or anything. I don't do it to make money. I just do it for the love of theme parks and just design in general. It's sort of like a creative outlet. If you know, I'm a designer by day, and in my off time, I just like to do the fun stuff, which is what I make and as Made to Thrill.
That's awesome. And I definitely remember, because you started Made to Thrill around the same time I started getting into roller coasters. And so I remember it was like the hot thing was when the Cedar Point posters came out. And my dad was like,
Oh, yeah.
My dad was like, have you seen these? And I was like, those are awesome. And like, I love, those are still some of my favorites, but if you ask me, they've only gotten better from there. And we'll talk about more on that as we get better. Ooh, I'm losing words tonight, folks. This is what I get for being up for too long. But we'll talk more about the posters as we get a little bit farther down. But this is a question as a graphic, or as an aspiring graphic artist myself. What made you start with graphic design?
It's an interesting question, because I went to college for film post-production, and that really led me down a path to motion graphic design. So I was really into making movies in college and even after college. And well, even to this day, I still enjoy making movies. But when I got out of college, I started making movies professionally, in music videos and commercials. And being from Chicago, that music videos and commercials were like all that really was around. And it wasn't the kind of work that I enjoyed doing. So I kind of started doing websites as I kind of created my own agency with a friend of mine from college, and we did film production and motion graphic design and web design. And really what paid the bills was doing websites at the time. So I just got more into to doing kind of the graphic design, the static graphic design and interactive design. And, you know, I enjoyed doing that. And I felt like it was something that I was still connected to kind of a creative outlet, which was what I enjoyed in film post-production, just, you know, putting things together and making it one cohesive piece. And whether it's film or design, it all kind of, you know, just made me feel creatively stimulated, I guess. And web design was really what pushed me forward. And, you know, eventually we stopped our agency, and I joined kind of the corporate workforce doing graphic design. And then, you know, doing that, you work a lot with clients, and you find that it's sort of a push and pull with clients. And oftentimes you feel that something should be one way and clients should feel like it should be another way. So that's kind of what pushed me into doing like the Made to Thrill stuff. Was like, I wanted to do my own creative expression where I didn't have to, you know, interface with clients in that way. But I don't know, I kind of went down a real windy path there to answer that question about what got me into graphic design. But I guess to round it out, I'd say it's just sort of, you know, building kind of a cohesive story just through a, you know, a static piece that people can react to. I think is pretty fun and cool.
Yeah, I like that.
So obviously you started off with like all of your prints and the posters, but what made you start making shirts and other items? What led you to that?
Well, I always really enjoyed collecting shirts and patches and even lapel pins just from my visits to various theme parks or really anywhere. I mean, family vacations, I can recall, getting those little trinkets in gift shops of, the places that we go to. But I think my most nostalgic memories come from, family vacations to Disney World and Epcot. And, I still have a lot of the original gifts that we got together as a family from like the gift shops. And they're pretty cool. They're just like, ridiculous visors from the 80s that I probably wouldn't wear now. But that's those like little, gifts that you get in the shop are what I really got into making after like the prints. I'm like, how else can I, express my nostalgia for these things in different mediums was pretty fun. And being a like by day I'm in like digital design. I'm in a digital space, and when I produce like a patch or a t-shirt, let's say, it's I get like a different feeling when I hold the actual product that I made. It's like a visceral feeling, like, oh, this came out of my mind and I used my computer to make it, and now it's something I could hold in my hand. So I thought that was a pretty cool thing, just for me personally. But I don't know how it translates to others if they get the same feelings that I do. But they're kind of fun products for me to make, and different ways to express myself, and just making t-shirts. I actually started out screen printing my own t-shirts because I wanted to do some art that kind of felt very hands-on. It was contrasting to what I do in the digital space. Screen printing is super fun, very tedious, and kind of you can just kind of like put some music on and just jam out and just set up a run of t-shirts and you just start printing. So that was a really fun experience, but I learned a lot about screen printing and learned that I couldn't do it at like the scale that I would have needed to sell t-shirts. Like it took me a couple hours just to do like a run of 6 t-shirts, and I'm like, all right, this isn't going to work. It's more just a for fun thing. So again, I'm just looking for more creative outlets, and that's kind of what led me into t-shirts too, was just like, hey, what is screen printing about? How do you do this? And those types of things. So, but yeah, it was just all about creating different kinds of products, I think.
That's awesome. I agree with you. As a photographer and someone who's also done some digital artwork, the feeling of printing your work for the first time and being able to like hold the picture or hold the thing in your hand and just look at it like that's such an amazing feeling. It's one that I still love to do. Anytime I get to print a new picture, I'm like, yes, this is awesome.
Right. Yeah, it's a good feeling. It's a different sense of accomplishment, I think, that you get from going like 100% digital. It's like, it's not to say that one is better than the other. It's just, it's different, and it's very interesting.
Yes, for sure.
To hold something like that.
Yeah. So here is my nerd question, and I have my guess, because I always like to say, okay, I have my guess. What do you use to design all of your prints and shirts and stuff in?
It's sometimes a mess of things, but primarily I do a lot of my illustrations and other vector-based artwork in Adobe Illustrator. But I've been using, like for my day job, I'm a UI designer, so I use the program called Sketch, and I'm trying to transition everything I do into Sketch, just because Adobe's been great, but I just feel like it's a little bit of a I don't know, I'm going to get a little technical here, I guess, but the software itself is a little bloated for what I do in it. So I'm not using maybe 10% of the functionality of Illustrator.
I feel this on such an like personal level.
Yeah, yeah. So you know what I mean. Like if you use any Adobe product, it can like do 1,000, maybe 10,000 different things. Like in Photoshop, I can edit a movie in Photoshop, which doesn't seem right for a raster-based photo editing program. But that's just an example of how Adobe approaches their software, and they've been around for like 10,000 years. And that's kind of why they are the way they are. And they've done a very great job with what they do. But the reason I like Sketch is it's just a super clean and simple vector program. And so that's what I try to do all my stuff in. But it's a slow process for me because there's still like the vector illustration capability in Sketch is not quite what it is in Illustrator just yet.
Yeah, so I while you were saying all that, I launched Illustrator, and I can count on my hands the number of tools I use every time I launch it. So I agree with you. It's like, okay, I need the Aereo tools, the pen tool, the shape tool, and Pathfinder, and we're good.
Yep.
Yeah, so that was my question, and my guess was you were gonna say Illustrator, but I always love hearing other softwares that people use because that means I'm gonna go look at it now and try it.
Yeah, I mean, Sketch has been great for UI and UX design, and just being able to create any vector assets in it and vector objects, and it's not really, it wasn't designed for illustration, but it's something you can do in it, and to me, it just feels a little bit simpler and just, a little cleaner and faster.
Yeah, that's my number one complaint with Adobe is if the first time you launch one of those softwares, you don't know where to start.
Oh yeah,
There are thousands of buttons and.
Yeah, and the way I kind of started out in those programs was I did a lot of tutorials that I found just on random websites. I mean, now I think there's probably YouTube videos for it, but I mean, I started off in the dark ages of computers, and this is kind of how I just taught myself, was going on blogs, which just had like, hey, you want to make this? Here's the steps, and you just kind of did it. And the more tutorials I did, the more comfortable I got with it. But I also to be fair, I took a lot of classes in college, and I tried to get graphic design as a minor too. But even in film post-production, as editors, we had to know how to use Photoshop and Illustrator and a lot of Adobe software.
Yeah.
Oh, and After Effects. I mean, that was a big one for motion design.
I use Adobe Photoshop, Lightroom, Illustrator, and Audition all the time, and I'm trying to teach myself Premiere Pro, but I keep failing. But that's my complaint with Adobe is you get in there and it's so much happening, and then you go out on YouTube now, and I'm like, okay, how to use Premiere Pro. And you find a tutorial and they tell you to do it one way, and then you look at someone else's and they tell you a completely different way. So
yeah. I mean, with Premiere, it's like, or with any Adobe program, there's the visual language of Adobe translates into a lot of their software. So you can look at an application of theirs and be like, this is an Adobe product, and I understand how to move around in it. The tools may be a little bit different from app to app, but once you get a sense of one of them, you can move pretty seamlessly to the other. And but with Premiere specifically, I mean, the videos you may run into is they're talking about an editing style and how to cut a video in it, and unfortunately, every way to do it is the correct way. And the same thing goes for Photoshop. There's 20 different ways to do one thing. If you want to add like a little drop shadow to something as opposed to just going into the layer styles, you can create duplicate layers and blurs, and there's 1,000 ways to add that drop shadow in there, but every way to do it is the right way.
Yeah, it's the
so that's
correct
the hard
way.
part. Yeah, so it's just what feels natural to you. But I wouldn't get too frustrated with it. I know, if you're using other programs like that, you're gonna pick that up pretty quick.
Yeah, it also needs to be, I need to actually get outside and film some stuff so I have something cool to edit together with it.
Yeah, yeah, I think that's the hardest part of any process, is actually making the content.
Yes, I agree, because my favorite part about photography is editing. My least favorite part is taking the pictures.
Yeah, yep. That describes most of the creative process for me. It's like the idea is the hardest part.
Well, and that kind of leads perfectly into my next question, which is, we'll use a poster. What is your process when you sit down and say, okay, I'm going to work on a new poster for this attraction?
Well, I generally like to start out with just like, if it's a ride or an attraction that I've had memories of, I can usually just picture it in my head. I can start to draw out a sketch of it. If it's not, I would look at some reference photos and see what are some defining characteristics of this that I don't really have to spell out for people in an illustration, but I can just allude to it, and then someone looking at it like, oh, I know what this is. Like, that's kind of with a lot of my theme park related art, is it comes under the I try to equate it to the phrase like, if you know, then you know, and if you don't, then it just looks like a bunch of colors and stuff, and it's still like, okay, I get it, but you may not know like Sandusky 2003 with this Christmas tree and these lines means Top Thrill Dragster. But if you don't know that, then it's like, all right, I don't know what this is, but I guess it's kind of cool. But generally I try to create like an image that doesn't necessarily look like a photo, or it doesn't look like a freeze frame out of No Limits or something like that, out of a 3D rendering, because then it just looks like you just took a freeze frame out of a rendering, and you want to give it some kind of like stylistic approach, or something that feels like your own personal flavor that you're adding to it. And for me, I'm a big fan of like retrofuturism in art, and I try to inject that into all of my work that I do. I don't know, I suppose that's kind of my style, but that's generally my process, is like go from sketch and then make it weird or abstract, and then try to apply it in Illustrator and see like, how can I tell this story through the colors or the shapes, and sort of piece it together so that the nerds like us know what it means, but to everyone else it just looks like an abstract illustration.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just say this now. You've done a great job with the prints. I own quite a few of them, and I really, really like them. So
that's awesome. I appreciate that. I mean, I try to make it for everyone, but it's really for the people that that have like a nostalgic connection to these roller coasters and attractions.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be honest. I have stickers and pins and everything, but I don't have a single print, because there's a couple of them I'm always saying I'm gonna get it, and then you restock them and they sell out so fast, and I'm like, no.
Yeah, I mean, I can tell you, like, the more that it I guess we could say this hobby has grown over the years, it gets harder and harder to keep things in stock. I'm not saying that just for like a marketing thing or a hype thing. It's as the inventory or the number of SKUs, they say, in the industry grows, like I produce more illustrations, then now I'm not just keeping one in stock, I'm keeping 20 in stock, or I'm keeping 30 in stock, plus the t-shirts and plus patches and pins and everything else that I want to make. So it gets a little tedious, and it's like it's harder to do runs of new stuff and keep the old stuff in stock. So, you kind of want to walk the line of how many of these can I actually fit in my house to sell, and then can I use the rest of that money to produce some new stuff? So that's what I mean. Like it kind of gets harder and harder to keep things in stock as you grow your collection of stuff.
Yeah, my absolute favorite print you've ever designed, and every time I say I'm gonna go get one, it's sold out. Is the Beast print. Because
oh yeah, that's one of the most popular ones, I think.
That view is, if you ask me, it's the most iconic view on any lift hill in the world, and I have so many memories of staring over that drop that every time I'm like, I'm gonna get it, and then I'm like, it's sold out. And I go and I just sit there and I ponder my life question. It's like, why did I wait again?
Yeah, I think Beast and Kumba are my two favorites, I'd say. I really like the Kumba one.
Oh, thank you guys. I appreciate that, and it's those were two of my favorites to actually illustrate, just because I mean Kumba specifically, the colors and everything and the composition that goes into that. To me, it felt like, Kumba. And my personal ties to it actually are what got me into, what helped accelerate my love for roller coasters was, and I'll definitely date myself with this, but there was a VHS tape that my brother and sister got for me one year, that was called America's Greatest Roller Coaster Thrills in 3D. And it was probably in, 1995 or something, but they were going through like all of the latest and greatest roller coasters. And to give you an idea, like Magnum XL200 and Kumba and Top Gun were like some of the most advanced roller coasters in this VHS tape. So it's old. You can probably YouTube that and see what's up. But seeing Kumba in that was the first time I had seen like a sit down B&M style coaster that did the elements that like the Cobra roll and the diving loop, and it was insane for me to see this, and I could only see it on a VHS tape because I'm in Chicago and that was in Tampa, and we weren't taking a family vacation down there, so I wasn't going to get to ride it. But I tried to make that come through, and that print, it was just I wanted this print to symbolize how I never got to ride Kumba in the 90s, but that was kind of the driving force behind it, which is weird. I mean, you don't get this from just seeing the poster, but I just wanted to share like my little story behind it and how it came to be.
That's super cool, though. And Chris said his two favorites. So the Beast one is probably my all-time favorite, but there are two others that I am always going back to. One of them is Tron, which I am a huge fan of the Tron movies. So that poster, that ride when it opens at Walt Disney World, that will be the ride that finally gets me to go to Walt Disney World. But the other one is the Back to the Future poster, which is just, as a Back to the Future fan, that poster just speaks to my heart so much.
Yeah, that was another one of my favorites. I could probably sit and talk about all these posters. Like, there's a story behind all of them. I just don't, share it, obviously, because people are just wanting to get the poster and the art because it has their own meaning to them, which is amazing. Mm-hmm. But for me, it was like Back to the Future was like one of my first big kid rides, I think, when we did take a family vacation down to Florida and Universal and Disney. But It was never Busch Gardens. It was like if we did take a family vacation down to Florida, it would be Disney or Universal. And I think it was in the mid '90s, and we waited probably 4 hours in line for Back to the Future, and I was so terrified of going on it. When we finally got on it, it was like I was still terrified. I had to sit in the back row and have like my dad or my brother and my mom, I think, were kind of squishing me in because I didn't want to fall out. And it was just like a crazy fun time. You know, it was, I probably won't, I wouldn't soon forget it, but I also wouldn't wait in line 4 hours for that again.
Yeah.
See, that's one of those rides I'm always complaining about the fact that I'll never get to experience, because I got into Back to the Future probably a year and a half ago, and there's just so much about that movie to love, and there's so much about this poster I love from a movie standpoint, but also as the graphic designer inside of me is like, look at these lines and look at all this. It's just like, it's great. I love it to death.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Thank you. It's a fun one to make. You know, you get to add in like flames, you get to add in sparks and lines and a DeLorean, like amazing 80s car, which is one of the cars I always wanted to get, obviously, because of Back to the Future. But yeah.
I mean, you see Back to the Future, you're like, now I want a DeLorean. There's no way to not watch that movie.
Yeah.
And it's like, I want to get in the DeLorean and drive off into the sunset.
Oh, yeah, yeah. It's just amazing. It's a great time.
Well, so I say we switch gears a little bit here and talk about Holiday World and your collaboration with them. So what has your process been like actually working with a park to bring merchandise to them?
Well, that was it was pretty surprising to me because Holiday World, I got an email from Leah at Holiday World just out of the blue. Used like the contact form on my website, and usually when an email starts off with I'm from this park, I always get a little nervous, thinking like, okay, you probably want me to stop selling things that look like your park. But it was the opposite direction. Leah said that, you know, she didn't see any Holiday World inspired posters in my store, and was really hoping that I'd take some time to create them, and if I would even consider going further, making some new stuff for their park that they could sell in their gift shops. And I'm like, okay, you know, I could try to do that. So we started off just in like a quick phone call, just saying, you know, if you have any ideas of things we'd like to make, or things you can make for our park. I think we initially talked about creating posters for their big 4 roller coasters that they have. But then I think it was towards the end of the season, and it didn't really make sense to launch like some new products at that time. But for next season, I said, yeah, you know, we can look into that for sure. And they wanted to try to test the water for, you know, what it would be like to work together. So they asked me if I could do like a Voyage t-shirt that had like the Voyage logo on it somehow. And I said, sure. So that was something they wanted to do specifically for the Hollywood Nights enthusiast event, and have like this exclusive t-shirt available to buy there. So I just took a stab at what I thought a Voyage shirt would look like if, you know, I mean, it was a departure from the current logo. It was just more of like a script, and kind of made this weird tagline that I thought of off the top of my head that said land, sea, and air time, instead of as a play on like land, sea, and air, obviously, but put it together in sort of a nautical theme and presented it to them, and they dug it. We printed a bunch of them, and I guess they sold out. They sold through them. So they came back to me the next season and asked, can we do the 4 posters? Can we do 4 T-shirts? And I said sure, and mocked them up, and even threw in a nod to the Santa Claus land, kind of an homage to their roots. And it's been great working with them. They're like they kind of give me the freedom I like to sort of create weird products, which is how my mind sort of works, and they're right there with me. So I think it's been a pretty successful collaboration on all sides.
That's awesome. So I was there for the Hollywood Nights where the original Voyage T-shirt came out. My dad and I both have them. But I'm here to tell you, I have never seen coaster people flock to T-shirts like I did that day.
Oh wow!
It was one of those things. It was almost scary how fast they were trying to get to them.
Wow, that's crazy. I mean, I still have yet to go to Holiday World, and I really want to go. I had plans to go this past season, but the pandemic just kind of threw a wrench in everything. But
That's
definitely want to get out there next season and just check it out, because I just want to meet Holodog. To be honest, he seems like a pretty cool mascot.
He is awesome. My dad makes me take his picture with him every single year, because my dad and I try to get to Hollywood Nights each year, and this year was no exception. He wanted his picture with Holodog.
Oh yeah, I mean, I get it.
I'm looking forward to seeing Holodog dressed up as the lion from The Wizard of Oz this year. I mean, I'm excited for that.
Yeah. I mean, I'd really love to get out there to see that. I think everything Holiday World does with all of their marketing and kind of the comedic and light vibe they have, and they don't take themselves too seriously. They have like free parking and free pop and free sunscreen. So it's like, this is a super cool place.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, it's awesome. And I have to say one more thing about the posters you did for them, because it was one of those things when I saw them, and then I kept looking at them, and then it hit me, is that they're all designed to be displayed in a row, with the sunset between Voyage and Thunderbird, and the tree on Raven and Legend. And when I can't unsee that now, and it's one of my favorite things ever.
Yeah. It was. I kind of wanted. That was an idea I had before I knew what the posters would look like. Is that I wanted them all to go together as a set, but I also wanted them to work on their own. So if you just wanted the Voyage poster, if you just wanted the Legend poster, you can get those and you could hang them up, and you don't have to like worry about getting the rest of the set. But if you did have the rest of the set, you could do this cool thing where they all kind of connect together, and they even go like from left to right. They go from their oldest coaster to their newest coaster, which is Thunderbird, and their oldest being the Raven. So it was just kind of my own personal challenge that I set upon myself. No one really asked for it. It was just something I wanted to see if I could make, and I think it came out pretty okay. And not everyone sees right away that they do go together. It's just kind of an understated thing. Like if you do have all 4, you may figure that out, that they do go together.
Yeah, I like it. I mean, I love all 4 of those posters. I don't have any of them as of now, because I'm kind of running out of room on my walls from all of your other posters. But yeah, so out of the 4, what do you think is probably your favorite poster from that collaboration?
My favorite was probably, I don't know. It's a good question. I think my favorite compositionally was the Raven, but my favorite of the the most colorful, vibrant one. The color palette I liked the best was on the Legend. That was the one my eyes usually most drawn to. I kind of like the cool tones with the purple train, and I don't know, something about it just felt right. But I had a good time creating all of them. I think the Thunderbird was probably, I spent the most time trying to create an abstract wing coaster train, and I wasn't really happy with my first couple of attempts. But I kind of figured out like one that looked enough like a wing coaster, and it looked enough like Thunderbird. You kind of got the colors and the ideas that it was probably the train. And it goes with my style. Like, it's not, a 1-to-1. I'm not doing like a, like I said, like a 3D rendering of it. It's just like, here's an abstract flat piece, and it worked out pretty well. I also took like my first stab at using a like a stipple brush to do shading on those, and creating a little bit more depth than what I usually do, which is just pure flat graphics. So it was kind of an exercise for me, and in addition to like creating this like piece that just connected through 4 different illustrations, it was also an exercise for me to like work on my shading and light sources and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think the Legend for me had all of what I was trying to accomplish in that.
Right.
I've got the sticker set, and I've got them laying in front of me right now because I've got an idea for what I want to do with them, but I just haven't had time to make it a reality yet. And the more I look at that Legend one with the Headless Horseman silhouetted by the moon, that's great. But I knew about the that they was all one image, but I always had it backwards. I didn't realize that they were chronological order until you said that, and then I noticed the tiny bit of Voyage's lift hill on Legend, and that now I'm looking at it in the correct order, because I always had it Voyage, Thunderbird, Raven, Legend. I needed to move the 2 around. That's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, you can still display them however you'd like. They should go together regardless, but they only tell that cohesive story when you display it in the order they were built.
Yeah, that now I'm gonna be like, okay, this is how it goes. But my plan is I want to get a custom frame for the sticker set, and instead of just putting them on something, actually put them in a frame in an order. So
okay.
I just need to
that sounds cool.
Do the measurements and everything and figure out who I'm gonna actually have make me this awesome frame. But there's another.
That would be cool.
I will definitely send you a picture when I finally make it a reality,
Please.
But there's another collaboration I want to touch on, and that I remember following on both ends, and that was the No Limits, what was it, Roundup 300 posters you designed?
Yeah.
Okay, so this was something, because I play a lot of No Limits myself because it's just a fun creative outlet. It's like, ooh, what if a park did this? And I actually remember I was trying to come up with an idea to submit for Roundup 300, but I ultimately ran out of time. But some of these posters are fantastic. So what was it like to take a No Limits project and turn that into a poster? Because I'm assuming it's similar to like an actual ride, but did you actually like get into the game and just or get into the simulator and spend time looking at each of these rides?
I didn't pull it up directly in the game, although a lot of the designers sent me their working game files. So if I did want to pull it up in No Limits, I could. But to be honest, I'm still a bit new in No Limits 2. I'm stuck in, like I said, the dark ages in the first No Limits. So the stuff that the designers were able to accomplish in Roundup 300 was like mind-blowing. It was all so good. The theming is so detailed. They created cues and environments and stories around these roller coasters, which in and of itself is like an amazing achievement just to design a roller coaster. But they have the complete environment. It's like a 360 environment of story. It's immersive, and just to see all that, it was incredible. But so I could have looked in the game file, but what really got the story across was like these incredibly cinematic YouTube videos that they created, and those were like what really allowed me to understand what they were going for in each of their unique designs. From the mood of the music they set the roller coasters to, and the videos to, and the way they sort of cut to show like different elements, and like you can tell like what a signature element on that ride was going to be, and what the color palette of the ride, like what would inspire the color palette on it. And I don't know, it was just like, these were super cool. And it was I was thrilled that the team at No Limits came to me with the suggestion, like we'd like to design some posters like for the grand prize winners, or we want to do like custom made to thrill style posters for the winners of this competition. I'm like, sure, that sounds awesome. And then I realized that there would be 10 winners, and I'm like, oh my God, this is going to take me a really long time. But the contest winners were, super lenient with me. And, since Made to Thrill is just something I do in my spare time for fun, it took me several months to get through all 10, but I think the final output everyone was pretty happy with. And, just being able to not only give it to all of the winners, as their prize, but I ran it in my shop for like a week or 2 weeks, just in case any of their friends like wanted to buy extra copies. I sort of sold it as like just regular posters in the shop, and they actually, a lot of them sold very well. So it was pretty impressive that the designers of the roller coasters, like they generated so many fans just based on what they created in No Limits. It was super cool.
Yeah, I'm fairly active on the forums where Roundup takes place, and it's definitely one of those events that it's months of teasing and pictures, like specifically the Journey to Agartha poster and the Journey to Agartha ride. They had worked on that forever. Like, I remember we'd get updates sporadically, and we were all excited to see like the end product, but they worked on that ride forever. But then there's like the dark horses, which ended up winning, which was the omitted Misadventures of Cherry Bomb, which I don't think really any of us knew, we didn't know it was coming. And so when we saw that video, I remember seeing my jaw drop, and your poster captures that ride perfectly.
I tried to. I don't know if it does it justice, to be honest. I tried to capture all of what they had in that ride. It was an amazing ride system. It was like, Test Track and Radiator Springs Racers and Cars Land. And there was so much going on in that ride to boil down to just one minimalist, retro, futuristic poster.
Oh, yeah.
But I really dug that ride a lot. And I tried to communicate with each of the designers and like, to see if they wanted me to integrate anything specific into the artwork itself. And I think with that one, I just I felt the California vibes in it. I just wanted to make it kind of like an old, like video game art kind of cover. And it kind of worked.
Yeah, and it's a great poster, and I always go back to that video and that ride in particular, because the scariest thing about that is that none of that is native No Limits 2. Every single part of that ride is completely custom. And just looking at the poster, it really just does capture like the immediate vibe of that video, and I think it does for all of the No Limits posters.
Yeah, I mean, we tried to, I worked with the designers to say, like, I wanted to figure out in their eyes, like, what was the signature element of this ride. So I think, there was one that we wanted to incorporate a rocket in it, because that was like a signature element, was like the ride was kind of launched around a rocket ship, and we wanted to put that in the poster, so make sure I got it in there. Because I mean, these are rides like I have no attachment to. I didn't know they were being built. We obviously can't ride them in reality, so I have no nostalgic connection to them.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to work as closely with the designers as I could to try and make something that we both felt represented their vision. So, I'm glad to hear it translated well, because it was really a shot in the dark. But again, I loved working with all the designers. I loved working with the team at No Limits. I think, we all just had a good time, working on that. Even though it probably took a while and everyone was waiting a long time for them. I appreciate everyone's patience on that.
I think you still beat getting all the prizes out for Roundup 200, though. If I'm not mistaken, they still hadn't delivered one of the Roundup 200 prizes.
Oh.
Because they did, like, hand-carved custom wheels or something, and it took them, 3 years to get them all delivered.
Yeah, I mean, we have ambitious dreams in doing these collaborations, and I think sometimes it takes a little bit longer than we initially anticipate. But with when I learned it was like 10 posters, I'm like, oh man, this is gonna take a long time, and just be prepared to wait. That's kind of what I said. But yeah, I mean, it's good to know I wasn't in. There was someone took a little bit longer than me. That's not too bad then.
Well, I think we're about done, so we just have a couple of quick fire wrap up questions here. So
which
these are pretty much
forever, but
sure.
These are questions we ask everybody who comes on. So that is favorite theme park, favorite roller coaster, and for you, favorite poster you have designed. Period.
Oh man. Okay, so favorite theme park, I'd have to go with. I don't know. It's kind of a tie. Is that cheating?
No.
Definitely not.
I'd have to go with Epcot for just nostalgic reasons. I know right now it's in sort of an identity crisis and being ripped to shreds. But I think one day it'll be rebuilt and it'll be, glamorous again. I don't know. But my other favorite park is obviously my home park, which I also have a lot of nostalgic connections to. It's Great America in Six Flags Great America. And let's see, my favorite coaster, that's a tough one. But it usually comes back to either Cheetah Hunt or The Mummy in Universal Studios, which are not like the highest and fastest by any means, but they're just like really fun rides.
Chris and I absolutely adore Mummy.
We both like Cheetah Hunt too. Not as much as Mummy, but we do like it.
Yeah. The Mummy has one of my favorite like elements to it, which is it's an element that I always like dreamt of growing up, was like, what happens if you just pull back into the station and the operator is like, you know what, you're going again. Like, you have no control over that. And then they actually, I mean, I guess it's a spoiler alert, but I don't know. Mummy's been open for a long time. So they put that in the Mummy. There's like a completely fake out station, and then that's like the coolest part of the ride for me.
Yeah, we love that part.
Yeah, that part, that just the whole so I actually rode it for the first time about a month ago, and actually it was a month ago today. I'm looking at the calendar, and it was one of those rides like I knew about what was going to happen, and I did know about the fake out station, but there was so much more to the actual roller coaster part of that ride that just completely blew my mind. I was like, this is so much more than I was expecting.
Yeah, it's fantastic. It's such a great ride. That's why it's kind of a tie for me. But
yeah,
I don't know.
That's respectful. Now I think the question when Chris said it, I could almost hear like this is gonna be hard. Your favorite poster you've designed?
Oh no.
Yeah.
Let's see.
I hate making people pick favorites, especially in stuff like this, because I understand the pain with all my picking a favorite picture.
I'd have to say one of my favorites has been the Types of Coasters poster, which was one of my first screen printed posters I did, which features the alphabet in different typographic treatments that uses each, like the typographic treatment in each of the ride logos. So, for example, you'd have the A from Apollo's Chariot, the B from Blue Streak, and the C from Cyclone, D from Dueling Dragon. So it was a pretty cool one. It was a cool idea in my head, but I feel like it was one of the posters that felt pretty true to the vision in my head. So I don't know. I think that one is one of my favorites, but they're all pretty fun to me. I mean, I have a story for all of them, including some ones that haven't come out yet. So you'll probably see those soon too.
Ooh,
Awesome.
we like hearing that type of stuff.
Yeah.
I'm looking at this Types of Coaster. I've had your website open, just running around looking at everything that we're talking about, and I'm looking, and there's so many of these rides that I'm like, oh wait. Now that I look at it, it's like, oh, like the X specifically. That's one of my all-time favorite roller coasters. Yeah. So I get.
Yeah, that one's awesome.
There's so much on here I didn't realize. Just that's awesome. I love that.
Yeah. There's some fun stuff on there. You know, just I don't know. You probably you may rack your mind on a few of those, like the H. It's kind of a deep cut, but you can do research on that one.
Hydra, right?
No, High Roller.
Is it High Roller?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
The High Roller, yeah.
I thought it had said Allentown. I'm trying to see on the website.
Is it Hydra? Or is it, yeah, I think it's Hydra. Because I think is it?
Yep, it says that.
Oh, the H is Hydra.
Yeah.
That's. I was like. I don't. Oh, okay. I'm looking at some of these. Oh.
Well, okay, so that about awesome. Wraps it up. So, Josh, thank you so much for coming on, and why don't you tell the people where they can find you, plug your socials, all that?
Oh, okay. Sure. So I am at Made to Thrill on Twitter and Instagram, and you can find the shop at madetothrill.com. And again, I appreciate you guys inviting me on here to talk and hang out, and hopefully we can do it again.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So definitely go check his stuff out. If you forgot to get some of the Christmas gift, I don't think it will make it on time now for Christmas, but it's the thought that counts, people. So if you need a gift for the coaster enthusiast in your life, check out Made to Thrill. We love your stuff. I know I hounded my mom this year. I was like, hey, mystery bags are out. You should go buy one. Those were my words to her. So
I might. I've always been interested in getting one of those too.
They sold out in like the first day. So
yeah. Well,
but
anyways, you can find us at @twisted_travelers on Instagram and @twistedtraveler, but the R is a 1 on Twitter. And I think that does it. Everybody, thank you so much for listening, and we will see you next week.
Thanks for listening to the Twisted Travelers Podcast.